Okay, so these notes are over rational exponents. For any real number b and any positive number integer n, b raised to the 1 over n power is the same thing as the nth root of b. Basically, whatever, if you have an exponent that's a fraction, the denominator of the fraction is actually going to be your root. So 27 to the 1/3 power is really the cube root of 27, which is just 3. Okay, same thing with negative 16 raised to the 1/2 power. That's the same thing as the square root of negative 16, which is 4i. So I'm going to write a to the 1/7 power in radical form. So we have a. The denominator is the root and the numerator is the power. So the power is 1, and we're raising it to the 7th root. So it's the same thing as the 7th root of a. I'm rewriting the square root of w in exponential form. So I've got w. My root is going to be my denominator, which if it's the square root, it's an implied 2. And I don't have an exponent that I'm raising w to a power of, so it's going to be w to the 1/2 power. I've got a to the 1/3 power, and I'm going to write it in radical form. So I've got a. The 1 is my exponent. The 3 is going to be my root. So this is the cube root of a. I've got the 5th root of x. So x. The 5 is the root, so that's going to be my denominator. Over, I don't have a power being raised to x in the radical, so it's going to be 1. So it's x to the 1/5 power. So evaluating 49 to the negative 1/2 power. We've talked about negative exponents, and we have to make negative exponents positive. So right now, think of 49 as 49 over 1. So to make that 1/2 power positive, we're going to take it and we're going to move it to the denominator. So this is 1 over 49 to the 1/2 power, which the 1/2 power really means we're taking the square root. So it's 1 over the square root of 49, which is 1 over 7. So 1/7 is our answer. I'm evaluating 32 to the 2/5 power. So I'm taking 32, and I'm going to be taking the 5th root of it, and I'm going to be squaring it. And it's easiest to do the root first and then the power. So the 5th root of 32 is saying what number times itself 5 times gives me 32. And that answer is 2, because 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 32. So that's 2. And then I just have to square 2, so I get 4. All right, I'm evaluating 25 to the negative 1/2 power. So first, let's make it a positive exponent. So put 25 over 1. We're going to send all of that to the bottom. So it's going to be 1 over 25 to the 1/2 power, which the 1/2 power is the same thing as the square root. So I'm doing 1 over the square root of 25, which is 1/5. I'm evaluating 16 to the 3/4 power. So let's see here. 16, I'm going to be taking the 4th root of it, and I'm going to be cubing it. So what number times itself 4 times gives me 16? That would be 2. So now I just need to cube 2, which is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. Okay, this next page is just showing what we basically just got done doing. So 27 to the 2/3 power is the same thing as the cube root of 27, and then you square it, which is 3 squared, which is 9. So I'm simplifying y to the 1/7 times y to the 4/7. Well, when you multiply, you're really adding. So this is y to the 5/7. And if we are writing it in exponential form, then this is an exponential form. If we want it in radical form, then it would be y. We would be taking the 7th root of y, and we'd be raising that to the 5th power. You can write it as that, or you can write the 7th root of y to the 5th. Either way, they're the same thing. All right, so simplifying x to the negative 2/3 power. We can write it as 1 over x to the 2/3 power. Let's see here. Actually, I'm going to come back to this one later. I'll leave different notes up over this one. This one goes into something totally different. All right. Next example, I have x to the 1/5 times x to the 2/5, which when we multiply, we really add. So this is really x to the 3/5. So in exponential form, it's b. Or in radical form, it would be the 5th root of x cubed like that, or the 5th root of x cubed. Either way. All right, I've got the 6th root of 16 over the cubed root of 2. And I want to simplify this. This one gets a little tricky. So first off, I can rewrite the 6th root of 16 to be 16 to the 1/6 power. Over, I can write the cube root of 2 to be 2 to the 1/3 power. Well, 16 I can simplify. I can simplify 16 to be 2 to the 4th power. So this is really 2 to the 4th power, and you can make it 4 over 1 times that 1/6 that was already up there. So that's really 2 to the 4. It's not showing up on here. So that's really 2 to the 4/6 power in the numerator. Over, I've got 2 to the 1/3 in the denominator. There we go. Well, 2 to the 4/6, the 4/6 can be simplified to be 2 to the 2/3 over 2 to the 1/3. And when you divide, you're really subtracting those exponents. I don't know why this isn't letting me write. So this is really 2 to the 2/3 minus 1/3, which is 2 to the 1/3 power. So you can write it in exponential form as that, or you can write it as the cube root of 2. So that was a trickier one than most. The next example, I have the 6th root of 4x to the 4th. So I'm going to break this up and say it's 4 to the 1/6 power times x to the 4/6 power. Well, 4 I can rewrite to be 2 squared. So this is really 2 to the 2/6 power times x to the 4/6 power. And now simplifying those, that's 2 to the 1/3 power times x to the 2/3 power. And it looks like that's about all I can do. They're both being raised to the root 3. So I can rewrite it as the cube root of 2x, but the x is still being squared. So it's the cube root of 2x squared. And last example, I have the 4th root of 4 over the square root of 2. So rewriting it, I can say the 4th root of 4 is 4. Oh, let me erase that. That looks bad. I can rewrite that to be 4 to the 1/4 power over the square root of 2. I can write as 2 to the 1/2 power. Well, 4 to the 1/4 power I can rewrite to be 2 squared, so 2 to the 2/4 power over 2 to the 1/2 power. And 2 to the 2/4 power simplifies to be 2 to the 1/2 power. I don't know why this isn't writing. It's not cooperating. Okay, 2 to the 1/2 power over, and the denominator is 2 to the 1/2 power. And 2 to the 1/2 power divided by 2 to the 1/2 power is just 1. So I get B. And that is it for our rational exponents for now.